as we age, we have a choice. Do we want to become an elder, or are we just going to become elderly?
Yeah, I love that. I love that line.
Okay?
Yeah.
And so one of them requires intention. One is bereft of intention. You don't have to do anything to become elderly. It's just going to happen.
That's right.
Okay? It's just going to happen. But it takes a lot of thoughtful intention to become an elder.
Yeah.
The elder is the one who brings the presence. And that's one massive thing that I think is significant in our world of retirement age, is that retirement brings us into spaces of absence, not presence. And so I think we need to reintegrate in society as bringing our presence. So the elder is somebody who's vitally important to the containment of the society, the containment of the community.
Welcome to the Age of Lions podcast, a platform and community dedicated to bringing purpose, strategy, and calling to kingdom-minded people who are 50 plus and excited about their next chapter. Here's your host, Mark Clement.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 22 of the Age of Lions podcast. So glad that you're here today. That was our amazing guest, Chris Bruno. I'm going to introduce you to him just in a second. You can already tell it's going to be an amazing episode. Hey, I just want to remind you as we get into this that make sure on whatever platform you're engaging with this content, listening, watching, make sure you like it, subscribe, leave a comment, and please join the conversation. We really want to hear from you and know how this is impacting you, what you're learning, and what you'd like to share back with us. We're all on this journey together, and we want to know what you think. Today's conversation is going to be really special. It's Chris Bruno. Chris Bruno is the founder of Restoration Project, which is an amazing ministry out of Colorado. And he's the author of several books, but one that's been really impactful in my life is a book called Sage. And we're going to talk at length about this. Chris and I, we'll talk a little bit in the episode about how we've kind of come to know each other. It's really a cool story. But he is a brilliant guy with some real deep spiritual insights about aging, especially for men. So women, whether you're married to a guy or looking for a guy or whatever, I want you to really lean into this as well, because it's really important to understand the role of men, especially as they age, and what God has in store for them, what the Bible talks about theologically around that. And it's really a powerful lesson about how we're designed and what we're meant to be. So I want you to lean in, enjoy this episode. Can't wait to hear what you think about it, hear what your questions are, hear how it's impacted you. Let's dive in with Chris Bruno. Hey, Chris Bruno, how are you, my friend?
I am well, thank you. How are you, Mark?
Man, I'm great. I'm so honored for you to be on here today. Excited for you to be on here. I just want to say thank you for taking the time to speak to me and to the audience we have.
Yes, I am thrilled to be here. I am honored by the invitation, and I can't wait. Well,
it's really cool. So as you and I've kind of talked a little bit offline, the way Chris and I know each other, know is a strong word. We just met 5 minutes before we started talking here. But Chris, as I told you guys before we got to the interview, Chris leads Restoration Project, which is a ministry out of Colorado for men. And I had the privilege this fall, back in September, late summer, early fall, to go on a trip with one of their groups. And it was just an incredible trip. And his book was a big part of that for me and impactful. And so I just took a shot. I was like, you know what? This guy has had a big impact. He talks about the thing we talk about, and we've got this sort of connection. And some of my wife and mine's best friends, she's a book editor and actually edited Chris's book.
Yes.
And her husband, Tim, took me on this trip. So we had a lot of connections. So I was like, can you get me in touch with Chris Bruno? So they were very, very kind to get me in touch with your staff, and then you emailed me back. I was like, hey, let's go. Let's do it.
I am excited. And she is a brutally brilliant editor. And so so I love her and will forever be in her debt for making the work even better. So thanks for having me. It's really good to be here.
Oh, man, our pleasure. And Susan, she's a great writer in her own right. She's an incredible writer. And her and Tim are actually going to be on the podcast in a few weeks to talk about some things that they're going through. So we're excited to have them too, and the audience will get to meet her. But so we ask everybody, we're going to get into some specific stuff with you in a minute, but we ask everybody at the beginning, most of our guests are 50 plus. And so we'll say, hey, The question is, at what point did you sort of have that aha moment of, I feel good, I look good, I'm still hip, I'm whatever, but I'm a little older. I'm a little older than I'd like to admit. What was that kind of aha moment for you when you kind of realized you're crossing over?
Oh, when I'm crossing over, the aha moment. If you're listening to this or watching this, if you're watching this, you will see that I am bald. And there was a moment, Mark. It was a couple years ago where the hair loss had just been continuing and continuing and continuing, and then finally my wife was like, "You should just shave it. You should just go full on." So that was one of the accepting moments for me of like, here we are. Here we are. I've been bald most of my life. I've just accepted it recently. So.
Yeah. Well, hats off to you because
literally,
but as you see guys who are going through that, some more extreme than others, but it's like, man, just buzz it or shave it off or whatever. Like trying to cover it, trying to fight it, it's just it just doesn't work. And then you get into that category of you're trying too hard, and everybody, it's like, oh, bless them. And and I've had the same thought. Like if I ever get there, like I'm just going down. It's just let's get it over with.
Yeah, and this might be a little bit TMI, but it feels like the hair migrated to like it just started sprouting in other parts of my body that shouldn't, you shouldn't have hair there. So
I totally get it. No, and it's not TMI. Every man watching this gets it, and every woman who's married to one of those men is like, it's just a thing. Yeah. Man, my wife is on me about the ears, and the nose, and the eyebrows. She's like, you gotta keep that in check. I'm like, I hear you.
Yes.
It's definitely a thing. How would you say, what are some key ways you feel different than you did maybe in your 30s or early 40s? How do you what's your experience every day where you're like, it's a different stage?
I'll put that into two categories, Mark. I think it's a great question. The first category is physically, just this recognition that it takes a lot more to do the same things. So it takes a lot more effort to keep the weight off. It takes a lot more effort to build muscle. It takes a lot more effort just to get up the hill. So it takes a lot more in the physical category. And I'm trying to do that, whatever I can to stay as fit as I can. And it just takes a lot more. So there's there. But I'll put it on, the internal space too. I have felt a calming, a quieting, some parts of me that have just begun to go like, my favorite phrase recently is like, I don't have to do that.
Yeah.
I don't have to do that. And whatever that is, just like I'm perfectly content just sitting here and doing this or saying, no, I'll do something else. Like, I don't have to do that. Whereas in my 30s, I was like, oh man, gung ho, I'm going to do all the things.
That's right.
I don't have to do that now.
Yeah. It is much easier to say, no, I will join you in that for sure. It's that, Elders talks about it. I know you probably know him and have a relationship with him, but just, you're in your 30s and 40s, you're trying to accomplish things and make a name and you're kind of trying to build that name or respect or whatever. And as you get older, hopefully you've done that and God honors that. Scripture talks about that, but also it's just like, you're just not worried about it anymore. You don't really worry about what people think. And it's not that I don't care. It's just that I don't need to care about that. It's a different thing.
It's a good way to put it. Really good way to put it.
Yeah. What, so you mentioned fitness. You look like you're in really good shape. Like I may only see you from here up, but you look good. What are you doing to kind of invest in yourself physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, as you are getting older, wanting that longevity, wanting to carry your ministry on as long as you can? I'm sure. Like, what are some things you're doing now to try to make that happen?
Oh, well, physically, similar to, offline, we were talking just before here, and you've had your own physical journey recently. A couple of years ago, my mom passed away of Alzheimer's, and my father's health has always been, or I'll put it this way, has never been on the top of his priority list. Yeah. And so he is still alive. He's, getting significantly older. He has Parkinson's, he has congestive heart failure. He's got all these things. And so with my mom and my dad getting older and then my mom passing, it kind of gave me pause to go like, okay, how do I want to live into these next decades of my life? I certainly don't want to do, be physically looking like him or ailing like him. I have all the markers, I have all the biomarkers, not me personally, but my genetics of Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. And there's cancer in my lineage. There's heart failure. Like there's all the things. And so I needed to do a little assessment. And it wasn't just about my body. It was about my blood. I needed to see what was going on inside my body. Mm-hmm. And I got some blood results back. And I'm like, okay, here we are. And we can go one of two directions. And I wanted to go the direction towards health. So good couple of years ago, I really kicked into gear, watched what I was eating, and started a workout routine and stuff like that, and lost 40 pounds and have been, doing that ever since. So investing, it is, and like I said a few minutes ago, like it takes a lot more to do that. So there's a couple of hours almost every morning of walking and drinking water and working out and just like settling into the day before the day even begins. So there's that investment. And then I make sure that as part of that, there's a good hour of meditation and prayer and reflection. I've always been a journaler. And so I've just made sure that stays a part of my day before the sun even comes up. So it's significant to do that. And I love your word investing, because it's not just spending time, it's investing time in your own health. And I will get into this in the conversation, but I actually believe that we need more men and women to be investing in themselves so that they can be present for themselves in the future and for future generations. So, it's not just a selfish endeavor. I mean,
it really should be about, and we talk about this on here a lot, about legacy and impact and what are you doing with the gifts that you've gotten. Our whole premise here is that as we're getting into 50s, 60s, and 70s, there's been some different studies and surveys about how much opportunity there is to have great impact in those decades. And especially now with the level of information we have, and then, hopefully you've got more resources, whether that's financial or time, you've got more experience, more wisdom, you've got more availability, like you've got more control of your calendar typically as you get older. So just really trying to challenge people to say, hey, we're not doing this. We need to be doing this. Like how do we get better? How do we grow? How do we have impact in our family, larger circles, our businesses, our work, our ministry, whatever we're doing? Because I just, I love the next generation. We talk about that a lot at our church. I've got kids from 37 to 15. So like, I'm all about that 100%. But oftentimes I just feel like this stage, and we're going to get into this with your book, but people don't talk about it. Like, it's yes, you should own your own journey, and yes, lead yourself in your spiritual. Yeah, I get it. Okay, I got it. But we need to talk about it more collectively, which is sort of the whole catalyst for these conversations. Like, and that's the comment we get all the time. I'm so glad somebody's talking about this in a way that's like getting it out there, because there's so much potential. There's over 100 million people in the U.S. over the age of 50. It's almost a third of the population. And so, I mean, it's just, I'll get on my soapbox, but that's my passion for this.
Yes.
So
mine too. Let's go.
I mean, well, that's a perfect segue. So, I'd love for you to share with everybody, and I want to learn a little bit more about this too, just about sort of how you got here, a little bit of your background, how you started Restoration Project, what was the catalyst for that? Just tell us that story.
Yeah, well, I will say that kind of the story of the ministry, the story of the work that I do now was really rooted in a lot of my own story, which is pretty common for people in ministry, in specific, niches of ministry. I will say, though, it started in my 20s, and it was when when we had our first child, and I held him for the first time in my arms, and kind of looked out the window. The sun was rising. My wife was sleeping after labor, and I was holding him. And I had a little bit of a moment, like an oh crap moment of I now am a father. This little being suddenly made me a father. And I that comes with a significant level of responsibility, comes with a significant level of intentionality. And I don't know what to do for him I don't know. I want to do something for him that I didn't receive, and I don't know what that is. And so it began for me a journey of exploration of what does it mean for me to be an adult? What does it mean for me to be a man? What does it mean for me to do my own internal work in order to offer myself fully and wholeheartedly to my wife and to my children? And that journey was a long one. It was a couple decades. So my wife and I lived overseas. He was born in the United States, but then we moved overseas in missions and lived over there for a decade and had 2 other kids along the way. And during that time in ministry there, I received several other young men onto our team who were recent graduates from college. And I was the older and wiser one, even though I was like 3 years older than some of them,
well, just being married versus being single puts you in a whole different,
right. And I'd been there for a year or 2 before they showed up. So that made me the, senior staff or whatever. And what ended up happening was I realized these guys also have some similar questions. What does it mean to be a man? How do I bring myself to the world? What is my calling? Like all of those kinds of things. So it was during that decade that I did a lot of internal work. Now we were overseas, and this was before the advent of the internet, and so I just had books as my mentors. I didn't have anyone else really to look to. Fortunately, many of those books did speak to the places of my life and my heart. And when we came back to the United States, went directly to graduate school, and that's where I got into my own work and became a counselor. Got a counseling psychology degree, and the journey of that process of learning was a continuation of my internal transformation. And so that brings us all the way up to 2010, which is when I moved to Colorado after that and launched Restoration Project with a friend of mine. He was a pastor, I was a counselor, I was an elder in the church. And the 2 of us just had this similar passion for transforming this generation of men, or kind of casting a vision for this generation of men. Launched Restoration Project in 2010 here in Colorado, okay. And we've been going ever since. So wow. That's a broad kind of flyover of the story of Restoration Project.
Yeah, well, tell everybody what Restoration Project does, what you guys are all about.
Yeah. So Restoration Project is all about the journey of the restorative man. We've put that language together. There is a journey, there is restoration, and then there is a man. So there is a process of a man learning how to become a participant in the narrative of God, of bringing restoration to the world. And that restoration is internal. That then becomes external. What is God doing to restore him? And then what is God doing to restore the world through him, uniquely in the places and ways that God has planted him in the world? So we do 3 primary areas, if you will, fathering, brothering, and learning how we are sons of God. So kind of recognizing that not every man is a father biologically, but every man is called to father the world and bring fathering energy into the world. And not every man may have have siblings, but every man is called to bring brothering energy into the world. And then, of course, every man is a son of God, and to looking to the Father to understand who he is. So we do those things. We do outdoor expeditions around that. We have materials, resources, an online community, all kinds of things that are unto service of that vision.
Yeah. Yeah. And I had the privilege of being on one of those trips earlier this year, and that's how we sort of got originally connected. And yeah, it was such a great experience to be outdoors in the wilderness with other guys, the leaders, and the way you guys train your leaders. And I'm a little familiar with that. I know it's quite a process they go through over a couple of years, I guess, different events and conferences that you guys do. And they were incredibly, prepared and knowledgeable and loving. It was I would say that those guys, the 3 guys leading our trip, really represented all 3 facets of what you're talking about. As each man needed different things in different moments. It was really powerful. And you guys have trips for different kinds of things. So like our trip was kind of focused on the men themselves. I know you've got some like father or son or father daughter. Like tell them about some of the different trips you guys do and how that works.
Yeah. So you are on one of the men's only trips. Okay. And that is what in the category of either brotherhood or sonship. Okay. But we do that the fathering expeditions too, because, a lot of times the focus is on kids going to camp, and the counselor gets to do all the work with them and be there. But we really wanted to, invite the fathers to bring their children onto an experience where, it's not about the kids having fun and then going home and telling the parents about it. It's about building the relationship between the father and the son, or the father and the daughter, so that there could be some kind of generational investment that is there, some real intentional space and time. Yeah. So we've got for boys and girls, and always with the dad involved, we've got a weekend experience here in Colorado for the younger kids. We've got backpacking, canoeing, rafting experiences for the kind of teenage years, and then we actually have an international experience for the older kids, that senior in high school all the way into freshman in college, when they are launching out into the world and wanting to both solidify the father-child relationship as they become adults, break their hearts for the world, open their minds and eyes to the world that God has created that's beyond their iPad and their kind of American life. Right. But then also make the shift from father and child, adult and child, to adult relationships, and helping the fathers and children navigate how do we kind of up level to now be adults together. And so that trip last year was every other year we go to Kenya. That was a couple months ago, I guess it was now. This year, next year, we're going to the Amazon and Andes. Wow. Where we're going to do some backwoods work there with them and exposing them to some medical missions space. And then next year we'll go to Kenya again. So those are some of the fun things that we get to do. And you mentioned the wilderness. I see Jesus using the wilderness as a catalyst for internal transformation. And I feel like it is so important for us to go like, okay, he was onto something there. And so is there something that we can learn from not only the space and getting away, but how God invites us to himself through stories that are shared on the trail, through the topographical things that we're coming across, the beauty, the nature, the desire, like all that, like just using the wilderness to catalyze some things in our hearts. So yeah, that's some of what we do.
Yeah. Yeah. And nothing will get guys talking like walking down a path or being around a fire.
Right. Right.
And so our group talked so much that they had to say, hey, we're going to go 30 minutes of just silence just so you can have some meditation.
Some silence. They had to institute the silent rule. That's fantastic.
But yeah, it just something about it. People just open up. They start sharing. They feel the freedom. It's safe. There's no one's listening other than the group. I don't know. It's just there's just something about it. It's hard to put it into words, but it really is powerful.
It's good.
Well, like we were talking about earlier, obviously our audience is like you and I, 50 plus, and that's really our target and why we do this. And your book Sage was just a pivotal moment and a moment in time for me. I was telling you before we started, I'll just share with the audience. So getting ready to go on this trip, I knew it was coming. In fact, I just had made the decision. This was July and the trip was in September. And so we, I'm a digger. So like I'm on the website, I'm like, what do they have? Research and resources. And I found this book that Chris wrote called Sage about this sort of second passage or second stage of life. And I thought, that'd be great. I'd like to get to know about the ministry and da-da-da. So I order it, take it on vacation. And it's not a very big book. It's a simple, little paperback, I don't know, 100 pages, or I don't know what it is, but I'm looking at it thinking, okay, I'll read this one day, and then I've got 10 other books and I'll read those, and it'll just be part of my reading. And I was telling Chris when we started, I read nothing else the whole week. It had these questions at the end of the chapters that were just, they kind of wrecked me, honestly. And I had done some of that kind of work before. It wasn't new per se, like totally new, but there was just something about the way you asked the questions and what they specifically were. And I just wrote pages and pages and pages of notes and praying. And a lot of it was like, I gotta take a walk and think about this. Like, it was really penetrating, I guess would be a good word, just really got into me. So tell them about that book and tell them about this. The whole thing is such a perfect setup for what we're talking about here today. What led you to do that, and tell them about what the content is.
Oh yeah. Well, so first of all, thank you for reading it, and I'm both sorry and happy that it wrecked you. So.
No, nothing to be sorry about. It's all good.
So my first book, I referred earlier to my firstborn child, my son. When he turned, 12, 13, I knew that he was coming to a critical point in his life where he was transitioning from boy into man. Right. And so my first book is called Man Maker Project, and it's all about a father's intentional journey of making, in ushering his son from boyhood into manhood. So that's the first passage. For me, then, it was like, okay, I'm now coming up on what feels like another threshold in a man's life that doesn't get talked about very much. And as I dug into my own journey, my own life, the scriptures, the literature out there, it needed to kind of be named as another passage, where the first passage is the father calling the man out of the boy. The second passage is really where we are finding the boy within the man and bringing him home, reintegrating, bringing back all the parts of who we are and where we've left ourselves over the journey of our lives, and bringing us all kind of back to the same table and sitting down at the same table with our own self. That second passage is just as, if not more important than the first. Yeah, because biblically, I think, and we'll get into this, I think, but just biblically, that elder stage of life is really the pinnacle of manhood, not the middle. And I'm not diminishing any other season, but that middle stage where you're building your career and you're establishing your family and you're becoming like more, your reputation, your voice, who you are, you're finding yourself, all of that is vital. But there's more to life than just doing that and then moving on, fading out, like the slow fade at the end of the scene, right? That is what the older season has kind of been known as. And back to my father, that's what he did. And I did not want to do that. I didn't want to see that in my own life. And so for me, as I came to that second passage, it's like, what does this look like for me to walk? What does this look like for me to embrace, engage, wonder about, and even plot a course for how I will be moving over the next couple of decades? And it is a journey, right? It's a threshold to start the journey, and then you're continuing on it. You don't actually arrive into this magical moment where you're suddenly donned a sage. It's more this like, how am I slowly becoming the man that God actually designed me to be? Yeah. So for me, I wrote Sage really as my own investigation into how would I like to move into this next season of my life with that kind of intention.
Yeah. Yeah. What I took away from it was, first of all, I think it really gives permission to age well and that we have a role to play. Yeah. And I was already kind of on that journey, but I didn't have good language for it, for sure. And it was so good to see other examples and modeling. And I'm a movie and a story person. And what I do for a living is I'm in the creative space. We do videos and production, all that kind of stuff. So I love all the story stuff. And when you open the book talking about all the movies and there's Gandalf and there's Obi-Wan Kenobi and there's, and you started pointing out the sages in these different stories that most of us are familiar with, these different movies and books. And you talked about how we think of the hero as the most important person in the story, but really they can't do what they do unless this sage is there speaking into them, training them, giving them wisdom, coaching, etc. And so it really reframed that for me, again, just giving me language for it to say, okay, I've been feeling this. I had the idea for even this podcast. Like, there's something here I want to explore, but it really did put good words and good language around it to help kind of frame it up. And I'd love for you to talk about that a little bit. Just that opportunity that we have as older adults, not just men, of course, women too. But this book is more geared toward men. But just about the opportunity we have, because I feel like if we don't step into this role, if we don't take ownership of it. And that could just be in the circle of our family. It could be a bigger circle of business, ministry, our church, our community, whatever. But if we don't take advantage of these opportunities and step into this in a strong, intentional, purposeful way, we're leaving a massive gap.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd love to hear you unpack that a little bit about how important it is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, one of the things that I'll say in the book and here too is that as we age, we have a choice. Do we want to become an elder, or are we just going to become elderly?
Yeah, I love that. I love that line. Okay? Yeah.
And so one of them requires intention. One is bereft of intention. You don't have to do anything to become elderly. It's just going to happen.
That's right.
Okay. It's just going to happen. But it takes a lot of thoughtful intention to become an elder. And when we kind of mine the scriptures, mine history, mine cultures across the world, it is the elder in the village. It is the elder in the community that really kind of holds so much. It's the elder who holds the history and the story of where we have been. It's the one who holds the myths and those kinds of stories to then train morals and values and all those kinds of things, right? The elder is the one that offers justice and judgment that's based out of experience and wisdom of failure in the past that has informed the idea of like what is right and what is wrong.
Yeah.
The elder is the one who brings the presence. And that's one massive thing that I think is significant in our world of retirement age, is that retirement brings us into spaces of absence, not presence. And so I think we need to reintegrate in society as bringing our presence. So the elder is somebody who's vitally important to the containment of the society, the containment of the community. It's the elder that's offering the blessing over the marriages. It's the elder that is the one that is giving, prophecies or whatever, words of blessing over a child, like all that kind of stuff. So the elder is super, super important across generations and across cultures. We have lost that. We have lost that because now we are literally sending our elders away and, like I said, fading them off at the end of the scene. And we're losing something in that. And I would say that we are at a place in our society, our Western society, and particularly our American society, where we have just a bunch of warriors, right, who are running around fighting the battles. We have a bunch of kings who are like trying to establish their domains and fighting other kings and allying with other kings and then betraying other kings. Like we're in this, if I can use that language, we're in that stage. We don't have enough elders or sages to create the collective breath, to create the sense of like, hey guys, like calm down and let's come together. Let's bring wisdom to the table, not just the sword, but let's bring the staff to the table and let's understand, where we are. Let's bring our values back. Let's bring, whatever those values are. And I'm not saying that we, one value over another or one, or whatever, but just to have values,
right?
Let's just bring value back to the table. And that I think is why we're so vital, sages and elders are so vital, because I feel like unless there is someone who's got the gravitas of being sitting on the deck of the ship, we will just be wandering a wide open ocean with nowhere to go.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. And one thing we've talked on here a lot, we talked about this a lot over the last several months, is I think a lot of times as people get older too, they're like, well, no one's asking me to do anything. They're not asking me to lead. They're not asking me to get involved. And our charge to the listeners and the viewers has been, hey, you gotta step into it. You've got to take some ownership.
Yep.
Don't wait to be asked. Don't wait to be invited. I think the reality is, and a lot of people on here have talked about this, the younger people are actually really hungry for this. Mm-hmm. If they know what it is, they do ask for it. But if they don't, it's only because they don't realize that's the thing. But when they get it, they're just like, they just won't let it go. They hold on so tightly. So how would you challenge older men and women, but to step into this role and take some ownership, take some responsibility? Like, I know sometimes in the movies we'll see, let's use Obi-Wan Kenobi just as an example or whatever. You know, he's almost like a reluctant sage. Like he doesn't want to be bothered. He's a little bit grumpy, and he kind of gets pulled back into it. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a model we see a lot. But then when you look at, say, Lord of the Rings and Gandalf, he would be what I would consider more of an active sage, mm-hmm. proactive, intentional sage, where he's not waiting to be asked. He's taking charge. Yep. And I love that version of it where he's, you know, he is still healthy. He's still active. He still has all his powers. He's still getting after it, but he's calm and he's mm-hmm. not rattled and, you know, all the stuff, but he doesn't mess around. Right. And I think there's something really powerful about that. So how do you get people to kind of get up and get after it?
Yeah. The first thing I would say, Mark, is that we are a lot of older people assume that what the younger people need is for us to be involved or do the thing in the same way that we did in our earlier years. Yeah. Okay. So to be active is to jump in and continue serving with the same kind of serving energy that we were before, or building energy that we had before. And I would say that much of what the older generations offer is less about what you do, and it is more about who you bring. Who of you do you bring to the world? Because the younger generation, you just mentioned, you know, all this information and all this, you know, technology. The younger generation doesn't need our advice, doesn't need us to tell them what to do, because that's what YouTube is for these days, right? Just go to YouTube, do a Google search, ask AI, whatever it is, like they will find the data, the information that they need. But nothing in the technology space is going to be able to replace the presence of a sage.
Yeah. That's good.
That sense of being with another person, being in a space of like, I see you, I can hold what you're telling me, I can be with you in the process, and I can, because I have gone through my own dark valleys, I can be with you through yours. And it's not tell you how to get through it, but I can be with you as you go through it. So that presence, back to what I was saying earlier, that presence is really the number one thing I think sages can bring and should be bringing. And the younger generation, they don't know what they don't know. They don't know to ask for presence. But when they do, just like you said, and they receive the presence of a sage, it is like water on dry ground. It is like, oh, I got to sit with someone who has a spacious inner hospitality that welcomed me in and got to just be with them. I love just being with them. And you know what? They didn't say much, but I was with them. The sage didn't say much, but I was with them. Yeah. It's not us offering our information that we hold, and we hold it like a large bit of experience and information.
Sure.
That's not what they're coming to us for necessarily, unless they ask specifically. Sure. They're actually looking to be in the presence of someone who will look at them with kind eyes and the space to be able to hold them.
Yeah. My wife and I get the privilege to work with a lot of college students. She's on staff at Highlands College here in Birmingham, Ministry College. And part of her job is she runs what they call the ambassadors. So they're like the leaders of the leaders, or the top 20 or 30 kids who are like really have a lot of leadership energy. And but as we spend time we have a small group that comes over to our house, and then I'll have coffee with some of the guys, and she meets with a lot of the girls and all that stuff. And I had one of them give me a comment one time, and it was it spoke so strongly to what you're saying. He said, and our church is full of great older guys. I mean, there's a million of us, but he said, he said, there's something about you, you're available. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't better or worse, or you bring more to the table. It was just, you're just available. Like, you seem like you do a lot and you're busy and your business is a lot and you travel and whatever, but you just always sort of seem to be available when I just want to talk. And there was something about the way he said it that really resonated with me. And you've just put really good words around that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They just want time. Yeah.
Just
time and presence. Yeah.
Time and presence. And back to Gandalf, like, he still carries a sword and he knows how to use it.
Yeah.
But it's not his primary weapon.
That's right?
It's not his primary, and probably at one stage of his life it was. Yeah. And now his primary weapon, like I said, is the staff, the holding of himself, the wisdom that he brings, the presence that he brings, and the very few words that he offers are chosen wisely and carefully for the situations that he's in. So, like, yes.
Yeah. It's so powerful. Who are some of the people in your life, and you can name them or not, that's up to you, but I'd love for you to describe some of the people in your life that maybe are in that role for you, and what does that relationship look like for you? Because I don't think we ever outgrow the hunger for that, the desire for that, to have somebody who's just a little bit further down the path. And as we get older, that gap gets shorter.
The number of people shrinks.
But I know my wife and I talk about all the time, like, but all of our parents are gone, and you just think sometimes, I just wish I had a few more older guys or a few more older women in her life to just do that with. So, how do you get that in your life, and what does that look like for you in practice?
Oh, I will say it is hard. I will join you there that it is hard, and the number of people is shrinking. So there's been a few along the way that have offered me the. I mentioned one in the book. His name is Craig. Right. He has offered me some great space, and I actually called him Gandalf. Like, I just left his. This was years ago now, but I left his living room and I was like, I think I just met Gandalf. So he is one. Some of my back to the grad school days, I was not a traditional student. It was, second career. I was going, back after spending a good, first half of my life in ministry. And so I was getting this degree. And so I more identified with my professors than I did with the other students. And so became friends, and then actually joined, I worked there for a while, joined the staff team there at the grad school. And there were a few of them that I'm still in touch with today that continue to be just, they are a little bit further down the road. They bring what I love calling disruptive kindness to me. They will offer some questions and some words around where I am in life and some of the things I'm facing. And I'm left journaling several pages about the questions that they're offering. So, it is important. And then the other thing I'd offer, Mark, is that especially the older that we get and the fewer sages we have in our lives, there's something that I would call like remembered sages. And I mentioned a few in the book. But there is some memory of the sages that have been that I can still feel their witness with me, even though they are not any longer. And they're not any longer for a variety of reasons, whether they've passed on or we've moved on, we're in different states, we don't see each other now, or health, whatever it is. The remembered sage is one that I can still, and again, I mentioned this in the book, I can still stand as a young man with a man named Ben who was with me in my high school years, and he eventually married us, my wife and me. Still stand with him in the meadow of his mountain ranch and see his face, and it still speaks to me to this day. So there's some remembered sages that continue to be with me as well.
Yeah, and that just speaks to the level of impact that we can have in that stage. Because I love when you talk about him in the book, you said he didn't say much. He was just kind of, like you said, the presence, he was just there. Yeah. But there was just, even that, it obviously marked you in a powerful way that you would remember it all these many years later. And you think about it and you can still see his face, and it's like he's still right there with you. And And I just, my hope is that people, as they're watching and listening to this, and for me too, like, I really want to internalize this even more and make it a practice in my life to not only do that for others, but hopefully find that in some other people as well.
Yeah.
For myself, because it is so much, you just can't, there's just nothing else that will replace that type of relationship. I think it's so powerful. Well, one thing, I wanted to ask you, and this is not in the notes I sent you originally. This is something I came up with after the fact, but I just wanted to have you elaborate on this. And we've kind of danced around it, but I just want to ask you this very specifically. What are some key differences between men who have recovered their hearts and are successfully transitioning into sagehood and those who are not? What's the line between them, and describe both sides? I think that comparison might help all of us think about what we want to be and what we don't want to be. Yeah.
I think that's a great question. I think a few things come to mind. All right. So the first is the difference would be the one who has not done that work is still trying to work out the failures of his past, work out the traumas of his past, work out the woundings of his past, work out the losses of his past still today. And when I say work out, like kind of make up for. And so he'll be still just running hard after the performance, because somewhere in his past, he came to believe that his performance was the way to love. Okay. Or he's like riddled with shame around some, childhood abuse or something sexual that happened to him, or some addiction that he got into that he is still struggling with. So he's riddled with shame, and he continues to cycle through that shame pattern, that shame cycle, and it still has a hold on his life. Yeah. And I'll say this, that addiction is a way to work out the loss that we experienced, at first. And so he's still, struggling with something like that. There's anger maybe in his life that kind of bubbles out and leaks out over all the people around him. And he's never done the work to really dive below the anger to understand like what is happening in his heart and in his life, what stories are still there that have been untended. So there's something about a man who's not done that work, that he just then can't be the settled, contained, witness kind of person that we've been talking about, like offering his presence, because his presence is trying to prove something. His presence is an angry presence. His presence is a shame-filled presence. His presence is like, I'm not worth anything presence. Like, so that there's a big difference there. And that's why I think some of the journey into the sage is both, several years, decades long, because we're always going back to the healing parts of our lives. And this is what I love about this is I never want to be done with this journey, because I always want to find more places for Jesus to heal me.
Yeah.
And in the inauguration of his ministry, he said he is here to bind up the brokenhearted and set the captives free. So I want to investigate all the places where my heart has been broken and invite him to bring those pieces, the shattered pieces, back to me. And I want to find all the places of my life that remain captive to something else or someone else, and invite him to bring freedom to that. And that space is, the more that we become bound up and freed in that's where we become more sage.
Yeah. Yeah. And what I heard you say there is when the man is full of shame and all the things that go with it, his self-value is going down. So he therefore doesn't feel like he has anything to offer. Mm-hmm. And whatever he does have to offer is going to be fragmented, broken. There might be some good things in there, but it's just kind of a mess. And I think sometimes in movies and things, we will romanticize the older, grumpy person, and somehow they still share some wisdom and they get healed in the process. And I mean, I guess that's possible, but how much more beautiful would it be, or can it be, if they are doing the work themselves, if they are trying to confront those things, and then get to a place where they actually do have something. Not only do they have something to offer, but they're excited to offer it.
Well, and I would say this too, Mark, that we spend a lot of energy mitigating our shame and trying to avoid our wounding.
Mm.
And a sage is moving from spending his energy doing that to doing the healing work around those things, so that energy now is available to offer.
Yeah.
Right. Because otherwise it'd be spent in all these other things, the trauma response, the addictions, the trying to be the biggest man in the room. Well, a sage doesn't need to be the biggest man in the room anymore.
Right. So
he has energy available.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it, for sure. Well, I've as we've been when I first started this, I got a few episodes in, and I realized there was a couple questions I wasn't asking that I really wanted to add to the sort of standard bookends of the start and the end of it. And so one of those questions is, you've obviously had quite a faith journey, a long journey, decades now. How has your faith grown and or changed as you've gotten older? I'd love to hear you share a little bit about that, what you've learned about just God and the relationship with God and how you operate in that versus how you might have, 15 or 20 years ago or longer.
We could talk for hours on that, Mark. I think I'd summarize it in this. I think when I was first coming to faith, I was very concerned about right and wrong, do's and don'ts, black and white, right? The very clear kind of bricks in the theological wall, and wanted to make sure that I had them all right, and everything. And both through my years in ministry, especially in a Muslim context, and then through my years of working with people in their brokenness and in their stories, the God that I was thought was so concerned about right and wrong and black and white, I have learned that there is a far greater generosity in him, that he is not worried. He's not worried about the right and wrong. He is more concerned about the person and the heart. Mm. Now, is there a truth? Is there absolute truth? Yes, I believe so. And I feel like there's a much greater spaciousness to God himself to welcome home all of our waywardness, just like the prodigal father, right? Where there is, he is both open to the son that has left and come back, and open to the son that has stayed. And there is just this sense of generosity in him. I did not know when I first became a believer in my teens, I did not know a generous God. I thought he was a worried God. I thought he was he was like worried about my behaviors. And I think he's aware of my behaviors now, but I don't think he's worried about them. He's far more interested in who I am than what I've done, because he's taken care of everything that I've done. He has paid for everything that I've done. Right. That is no longer something that is his greatest concern. It is, how is my heart turning more and more towards him, and receiving the love that he has to offer me. Through that journey, that's a summary of my faith journey. Okay. That there is much more abundantly generous and lavish God, that the scriptures talk about very clearly. But I was far more concerned about the black and white when I first came to faith. Yeah.
That's so good. And, I think what you said rings true, because he cares about the actions. He cares about the sin, obviously, but he knows that the heart that we have is the reason for that. If we can just get the heart thing fixed, this other stuff will kind of take care of itself, because the heart will be in the right place. And so, he in the same sort of sphere as all the things we're talking about with fatherhood and sage and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. There's also that part too, where it's like, a lot of times I'm challenged to think, how much do I love my own children, and how do I act toward them, even if they disappoint me or do something I don't like, or, whatever. But I expect something different sometimes from the Heavenly Father. And it's like, no, Scripture tells us he looks at you the same way. I mean, it's a father. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes we just miss that so much.
We miss that. Yes.
Well, before we call it a day, I just love any final thoughts that you have, or a challenge you have for our viewers, our listeners. If you could kind of say one thing to them, just to encourage them to make the most of the years in front of them, what would you say?
Yeah, I think I would say this, Mark, that so if you are, and I know the audience of this podcast is that 50 plus, But if you are, if you are in your 30s or your 40s and you're listening, it's never too early to start the journey towards sage. Okay. Because it's almost like, you're going to go through the other seasons of your life and live fully in those seasons. But for me, like, I got exposed to the idea of being that sage when I was 16 years old. And it has been a vision that I have had for the man that I'm becoming all along the way. Yeah. So it's never too early to be both aware of the journey that you're, where are you going? What are you heading towards in this journey of your life? So it's so think about healing those parts and things that I talk about in Sage, the book. The other thing I would say is that if you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, it's never too late. Okay, so it's never too early, and it's also never too late. That God is content to work in decades, and He's also content to work in moments. And so if you have decades, take them. If you have moments, take them. Because healing can happen quickly in your life, and you can step into this calling of the sage, even if you've only got, you're at the very last few moments of your life, you can still step into that and offer presence in a different way. So wherever you are in the journey, it's never too early, it's never too late.
That's great, man. Thank you for that. That's so encouraging. And tell everybody how they can find you, websites and so forth. Like I will make sure that, and we'll put all this in the show notes, but make sure they know how to get a hold of you.
Yeah, probably the best in all the work that I do in counseling and in Restoration Project and all that kind of stuff is simply chrisbruno.org. That will house all the books and the resources and all the ministry and counseling center and all that kind of stuff. Awesome.
chrisbruno.org, and then restorationproject.com or .org?
.net. Restorationproject.net.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And our counseling program is restory.life. restory.life.
Okay. Yeah. We'll put all that in there and make sure everybody can find those resources. And I've been pushing this book, so I'll keep promoting it for you.
Oh, thank you.
It was so pivotal for me. But man, it's been great to hear from you. Great to get to know you a little bit. I'm so grateful for what you're doing, and so many men are benefiting from it, and therefore their families are benefiting, their wives, their children, their families. So what you're doing is really super important and powerful. And I just want to thank you for your obedience in stepping into that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And I'm so glad you came on the journey in North Carolina with Restoration Project. And Mark, eventually, I would love for you to come with us on the Sage journey, which is either in Scotland or Ireland, where we are investigating these kinds of things as well. So I would love for you to come on one of those. Yeah, it's on my bucket list of some things to look into. Awesome. Yeah, okay. Tim said it was great. So and I love that part of the world. So I would love to join you guys on that. Well, man, thank you so much. And I hope you have a great rest of the day. Thank you. You too, Mark. Okay. Wow, what an amazing conversation that was. What a deeply wise and thoughtful guy Chris is. And just I'm so amazed at the insights God has kind of put on his heart to help coach men of all ages, but especially those of us who are in that 50 plus category, thinking about what it means to move into that last phase of life as a sage, and how that's not a decrease or a downward turn on the graph. It's an upward calling thing into a powerful position in our families, in our communities, in our work, in our areas of influence. And so I hope you got as much out of that as I did. Really amazing stuff. All of the links that you need to contact and reach out to Chris, get his resources, are in the show notes. Restoration Project, and of course his books and all the things are right there to be linked. So make sure you check that out. Hey, I got to tell you, we have some amazing guests coming up as we're ending the end of the year 2025, and I can't believe we're here already. I can't believe we're in the 20s, almost getting up to the 30s, and how many episodes we've put out. We have some amazing guests, and quite frankly, I'm just amazed at how God keeps opening doors, connecting us with people like Chris. We got some amazing people coming up. Frank Schwartz, who's the president of F3, the F3 Nation, the workout group that is, I've got tens of thousands of members all over the country and really around the world. We've got Michael and Terry Smith coming on to talk about planning for the new year and
how to do that as a family and as a couple. We've got Tim and Susan Tucker. Susan is who we talked about in this episode, who's the book editor for Chris. Tim and Susan are dear friends of ours and have some great insights to share with us about empty nesting and taking care of aging parents. We've got Krista Letson coming up. Krista is one of the pastors at Asbury Church in Madison, Alabama, one of the largest Methodist churches in the state, and just an incredible teacher and thinker. We've got Benji Kelly, who's launching a new church in his 50s up in North Carolina. Can't wait to talk to him. Josh Collins will be on talking about AI and all things around that. I'm really excited about Krista Hollander. Chris is known on Instagram as the Functional Health Coach Chris, and she's an amazing coach and health and fitness person for women specifically. Can't wait to have her on and learn from her. She's going to be a great guest as well. Again, make sure whatever platform you're enjoying this on, like, subscribe, leave a comment. Make sure you join the conversation. Don't just sit back and listen, but we really want you to be part of it. We want to hear from you. We're all on the journey together, and we really care and want to know what you think. So make sure and also check out our homepage at ageoflions.com, and there you can find out all about upcoming episodes. You can get on our mailing list, which is really important to get kind of ahead of the curve and knowing what's coming. Love for you to join that well as we build our community. I really hope this episode encouraged you and gave you some great tools to really help you age with purpose and intentionality and really live into your age of lions. We'll see you next week.